That's Justin. Can you hear me? Justin, I'm doing a sound check for you. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Out as mess. All right, headphones are up. HSA. That's the grossest mess I've ever. I mean, what's wrong? And that old boy started crying and didn't even know why. He didn't know what was being said on the phone. He just looked over and started crying. He could have been
KGA, Goodwater, Allied City, and the entire Lake Martin area. Elijah Country 97.5, a Lake Broadcasting Station.
Now, we're talking sports. It's time for the Saturday Sports Countdown with Brett Pritchard, Randy Lee, and Luke Robinson. Auburn, Alabama, around the SEC.
All right, you will hear the end of JJ, and I'll let you take it from there.
To be a part of the program, call 256-234-6221. Now, let's join Brett, Randy, and Luke for the Saturday Sports Countdown.
Good Saturday morning out there to everybody, and welcome into the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR's Sports Bar and Grill. Brett Pritchard and Scott Hardy with you on a beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning here in downtown Alexander City, and we appreciate everybody out there listening and watching throughout the state of Alabama, and again, picking up affiliate Scott on this show and all of our other shows, so we really appreciate it, and been a long-time partner with Charter Communications and Channel 80 statewide, Channel 2 here in the Lake Martin area. But on the radio dial, you can find us in a couple of places, 97.5 Kallaja Country and 95.9 over in the Auburn-Opelika area. So all of you up and down the road today, it's a beautiful Saturday, a little bit cool and crisp. Felt like a October morning instead of a May morning, but been some chilly temperatures the last couple of days, but it's going to be in the 80s today. Beautiful, beautiful day outside. So we encourage you all to get out and about in whatever community that you might be pulling us in. But we're here at JR Sports Bar and Grill each and every Saturday morning. And, again, we'll be here with you till noon, and we'll take your calls, 1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221. Those are your numbers to give us a call. We'll have some trivia questions coming your way for some Sports Blitz and some Sports Call prizes that we'll throw out there, some shirts, some decals, and some things like that. And we're going to have a lot to talk about, a full slate of things to go down here, Scott, is high school baseball, softball, all coming to a conclusion with the state championships going on down in Montgomery, softball at Lagoon Park, baseball over at Riverwalk Stadium and Patterson Field in downtown Montgomery. And again, we'll run down some of the games and some of the championships. And I'll start with 4A real quick, because Charles Henderson in the state championship game in football, they win the 4A state championship in baseball. So Jamie Dubose is going to be the new head football coach or already is the new head football coach at Charles Henderson at the Super 6, which will be the Super 7 now coming up this year. This past Super 6, the ironic thing was Jamie Dubose called on our radio network the game between Aniana and Charles Henderson, and he becomes the coach, so he had a vested interest obviously in that game. But they were probably one of the most talented teams we saw the entire week up in Tuscaloosa, and they've got a lot of guys returning. They've got a lot of prospects on that team, Scott. So Charles Henderson right now has it going athletically with a baseball state championship now and a really good shot maybe next year at a football state championship with Jamie Dubose coming in.
Yeah, and he has a great lineage of being a great coach, and so you look at bringing him in and hoping to continue that success. But again, a great season for Charles Henderson. There's a couple of the teams around the state who were kind of similar in that, how that went down, but Charles Henderson, again, a good year in both football and baseball.
And we see that synonymous across the board with programs, and it's not uncommon if you see a team in the football championship, you can almost expect to see them make a run in the Final 48. Girls as well, if they've got a good softball program, they got a good basketball program, got a good volleyball program, just good athletes, and a lot of those girls and boys play multiple sports and help those teams be successful. But we'll run down where everybody is right now here in a little bit as far as the baseball playoffs are concerned, state championships and softball. But we'd love to hear from you, 1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221, to be part of Saturday's Sports Countdown. And, one of the topics on Sports Call yesterday, and we kind of bleed over into this show some because the Friday edition of Sports Call on the afternoon, maybe some didn't get a chance to hear that. So we kind of rolled the question of the day over into this show if it's relevant, and this one is relevant because yesterday it came to light that Auburn changed the verbiage on their website at auburntigers.com to recognize now, and I make a point to let everybody know that I'm using that word, recognize, not claim. They recognize now. They finally recognize what the NCAA's been recognizing for a long time, Scott, and they've got 5 national championships now to their credit. And, if you look at it and the way it's broken down, the 1993 national championship, a lot of people may scratch their head on, and but the NCAA recognizes it, so Auburn recognizes it. 2004 is not on the list, and maybe some people go, well, 2004 probably merits more of claiming than 93. So, call us and let us know what you think. Do you think Auburn should do this? Obviously, now that it's on the website, you can bet it's going to be flying on flags around the stadium, and it's going to be on the concourse.
Yes, and so it's something that should have been done a long time ago. I know we've had some conversations off air for years, and you've been one of the main people saying is that Auburn, this is something the marketing and the public relations side from Auburn should have done a long time ago. Alabama has done it, and other schools around the country, and it only brings more notoriety to your program if you're able to do so.
It does, and again, we'll read that specific verbiage and the changes in that as it occurred a little bit later on. But Auburn now with 1913, 1957, 1983, 1993, and 2010, and was so close to having another one this past year as they played for a national championship, a minute and 14 seconds away from sealing the deal on that. So, and I know that all of us as Auburn fans have ridiculed Alabama fans, and we've given Luke a hard time up here about Alabama, claiming national championships and joining that up. So, this, and I'll say this, it is different in the fact that Auburn changed their verbiage. They didn't go back and say, oh, we caught a bad break that year and we didn't get any recognition. We're just going to go on and claim it. they're going back and looking at what the NCAA has, and that's what Randy and I talked about yesterday. NCAA has it on their website, so Auburn finally recognized it. Auburn's the one late to the dance here. It's not like it's something that, they had to discuss and debate about. This has been up on their website for a while, and so Auburn now recognizes that, and I think that's rightfully so, because the guys that played on those teams, if they're being recognized by the NCAA, then Auburn needs to recognize them as well, because they worked very hard to achieve that goal, and they need the recognition for it. So 93 was a spectacular year. Obviously, Auburn was on probation, unable to play in postseason. So that's why some people may have a question about that. But on the flip side, 2004 has no national champion if you go back and look at the record books, because it was stripped from Southern Cal. And if you want to look at that, and Oklahoma got thrashed in that national championship game. Auburn beat Virginia Tech in the Sugar Bowl. By the right of the way the '83 national championship went down in the AP poll, with Miami winning that and jumping Auburn. A lot of people say, well, the same thing could have happened in 2004 with those two out of the way. Why didn't Auburn go in and claim it? But the NCAA doesn't recognize one, so Auburn's not going to do it either. 1-800-782-0108. 256-234-6221. What's your take on it? You think it's right?
I think so, especially the 1983 season, because although I wasn't born then, that's one of the seasons that a lot of Auburn fans say that was one of the most talented teams we've ever had, and for them not to be recognized as a national champion for the type of season they had, even that whole run in the 80s, but that team in particular. So that's one of the teams that my dad points out to. So I'm glad to see that one being recognized.
Well, there's so many publications back then that recognized national champions that the NCAA gave merit to, because there was no BCS. So the New York Times actually was one of those, and that's who gave Auburn the national championship that year. And so it's listed, they claim it, and they move on. Obviously, 13 and 57, nobody arguing with those. And then, of course, 2010 either. So if you want to say that you can argue about 83 and 93, I mean, I guess you can. I mean, but nevertheless, they're there now, and it's something it's going to be interesting to see if we all show up for the Arkansas game, and all these flags are flying now. And in the day and age of competition, you need to claim what you have. I don't think anybody's going to slight you for that. And everybody else is flying flags and putting things on the outside the stadium. You better do it when you have the opportunity to. And I think Auburn did right there. Javon Robinson coming back, going to be part of the Auburn team. And I know that's a huge pickup. And, Alabama had gotten in there heavy on him. And Javon Robinson, back in 2012, was forced by the NCAA investigation at his high school at Memphis, actually dressed out and practiced a few times, but had to leave the team because of that. There's a great story online about that. We'll talk about that a little bit, but he's glad to be back, committed to Auburn. He's got one more year at Georgia Military, and then he'll be enrolling in Auburn in December. So and 5-star recruit scout.com has him as number one running back in the country. So his stats were unbelievable this past year, Scott, and we'll talk about Javon a little bit later. Nick Saban responds to Pat White's Facebook post. He didn't really respond to it. He responded to a reporter, and just something frustrating, a little snippet of that news clip or that presser. It was not really a press conference, just a few reporters standing around on the Crimson Caravan as he was going around and asking about that, and what sparked that comment, what sparked Pat White to do that, the picture of Derrick Henry in front of a new car. So
how long has he been holding on to that? Now, he's been wanting to say that for so long. That Pat White, I think he's been, well, I know we'll discuss, but that's a pretty funny situation.
So he was supposedly offered a Corvette. That's what he puts on Facebook. And in Nick Saban's defense, he wasn't there. He wasn't there during that time. He was there at LSU as the current coach. So, but now he is the coach, and Derrick Henry pops up. Here's the deal: when you post things now on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and Snapchat, and all that kind of stuff, it once you do it, it's there. So you better understand the implications there. Auburn baseball on the brink of ending their season after two humiliating losses. A 10-0 loss and an 11-3 loss last night to LSU. LSU is a top program in the country. They're number 8 in the nation. So Auburn, a very kind of laid-back Sonny Galloway after the game last night said, look, if this meant for us to make it, we will. If not, we'll regroup and come back next year. Looking like a regroup session is coming. Michael Sam situation with Oprah Winfrey, the documentary, postponed the NBA playoffs, and a lot more here on Saturday Sports Countdown. We're just getting started. Give us a call. Stay tuned. More of the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR's right after this.
Good morning.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR's Sports Bar and Grill. Brett Pritchard and Scott Hardy here with you till noon today, as we always are every Saturday morning up here at JR's Sports Bar and Grill. Don't forget, if you're in Alexander City and you have your child with you and he or she is in their youth league uniform, doesn't matter what sport, soccer, baseball, softball, whatever. They eat off the kids menu for $1.99. Their choice off of the kids menu for $1.99. So make sure to come on out and join us here at JR Sports Bar and Grill, or if you want to get some food to go, and if you're heading down to Lake Martin, or if you're heading out somewhere else and you don't feel like really cooking, why would you? You just come get you some great food here, take it with you, and be on your merry way. But again, 800-782-0108, 256-234-6221 to be part of the program here. And we'll talk a little high school real quick. Scott, as the baseball championships almost finished now, as in Class 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A, we have a state champion in baseball. And we have state champions in 1, 3, and 5 in softball. So we'll start with baseball first, as St. Luke's defeats Athens Bible in 2 straight games. They win that series 2-0, and they are the 1A state champion. In Class 2A, it was Houston Academy winning in 2 straight games as well. They defeated Section 8-1 and 16-11 to claim the 2A championship. And then in 3A, here's one of those teams, here's one of those schools that we're talking about across the board in all sports: football, baseball, and basketball. A very strong program in Madison Academy. They beat Sipsey Valley 3-2 and 3-2, so 2 close games there. Tough sledding there for Sipsey Valley to lose by a run in both those games. But Madison Academy wins another state championship in another sport. So Scott, that's what we're talking about here, and we see that a lot. And the new structure of the classifications with 7A now, some stayed in their respective classes, some moved up, and it's going to be interesting to see how things start to play out, because I think things will be a little bit more even keel now.
Yeah, and so I say that, but I think the teams that have been successful they'll find a way to do so. And so you have your perennial powers that are going to be well, and there's another team that we'll look at that in 5A who has the opportunity to do the same thing in Spanish Fort, taking on Coleman. They right now won 6-0 yesterday, so game 2 and possibly game 3 today. But Spanish Fort, Hoovers, those types of programs we were talking about, they're going to be there. So again, that's a great accomplishment to have that on both baseball and football.
Yeah, and then 4A, we talked about Charles Henderson at the beginning of the program. They defeat Ardmore in 3 games. They lost the first one 6-0, but battle back to win 9-1 in game 2, force a game 3, and win that one 14-3. So Charles Henderson wins the 4A state championship over Ardmore. And as you just said, one more, if Spanish Fort gets one more win, they'll be the 5A champs. But Coleman's 42-11. They're a very good team. Just like you saw Ardmore defeat Charles Henderson 6-0 in their first game. They lost 2 straight to Charles Henderson. So we don't know how the pitching was held. Coleman may have tried to hold on to their better pitcher. I don't know. They may have thrown their best pitcher in game 1. But I would dare say that it'll be a very good game today, and they may force a game 3 there. But
what's your strategy on that? Do you think
I think you get the win. I think you get the win when you can get it. I mean, you don't. I think, and I'm trying to remember, and I think it was Spanish Fort last year, and somebody call and correct me if I'm wrong, and Randy and I were talking about it. I think they had their Hoss pitcher never even pitched in the championship series because they didn't make it to him. They were saving him for some reason, and they didn't have a chance to get him on the mound. They end up losing. So get the win when you can get it. Now I know every coach has different strategies, and I know it has a lot to do with who the other team might be throwing. Maybe you don't want to take your better pitcher and throw it against their better pitcher if that's all they've got. Maybe you sacrifice that game and you got good pitching coming up. So there's all different kinds of ways. I think it's all based on the situation, but if it's all even, you go after the win, but some coaches decide that they'll save them for later, and they have the right to do so, and they have strategy behind that. In 6A, it'll be Spain Park and Sparkman for game 2 today at Riverwalk Stadium in Montgomery at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Spain Park wins the first game 2-1, so a very close game. Here is another team that we've been seeing come up the ranks in baseball, basketball, and football, is Sparkman up in North Alabama, and they lost by 1 run to Spain Park, and Spain Park we all know has had a great program. They can't get over the hump in football over Hoover, but their overall athletic program is very strong, and their one went away from being the 6A champions in baseball. So some great baseball down in Montgomery. If you're looking to watch some great high school baseball, you're going to have a chance today to go down to Montgomery. It's going to be great weather. I encourage you to go down and support high school athletics, no matter what sport it is. And again, the soccer championships ended last week. Now softball and 1A and 3A and 5A we have champions, and Scott, in 1A it was Brantley winning over Lynn 4-0, and they win the 1A state championship. In 3A it was Winfield beating Pisgah 12-3. So Winfield girls, the 3A crown in softball. In 5A, Hartselle defeats Moody, and they win the 5A state title. So congratulations to those three schools. But once again, there's Brantley in basketball, girls and boys. Now in softball, we know how good they are in football, always going deep in the playoffs. So it doesn't matter. I think you said it best just a minute ago. It doesn't matter what classification these schools go into. They find a way. They'll find a way to be competitive and compete. We saw that with Dayville right down the road. Dayville actually moved up a classification from 3A to 4A, and they got better, and they got stronger, and they've been playing extremely good football the last 5 years, and the only team in state history to go from an 0-10 season to a 10-0 season, and that is still phenomenal to even think about, especially at the high school level, when you can't go out and recruit and you have to just go with what you're dealt. You have to go with the players you got, and to be able to turn that around is phenomenal. But 1A, 3A, and 5A softball crowns have been tapped, and now we'll have 2A, 4A, and 6A coming up later on today. So some exciting stuff, and that is at Lagoon Park, also in Montgomery. So great time to head to Montgomery to catch some great high school athletics.
Yeah, we always used to go close to this time. It seems like the schedule's a little off now, where we would go. We'd be getting out this time of year, but we'd always go to Lagoon Park and go watch the Montgomery time. Go watch baseball in Montgomery.
There you go. Go watch the time in Montgomery. So wasn't that a band, the time, back in the 80s? I think it was. There you go. So wow, 1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221. More to come on the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
5 to bump.
Yep.
Three, two, one.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown, presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Brett Pritchard, my good friend Scott Hardy up here at JR's. Today till noon, we want you to come by and be part of the program. Give us a call, 1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221 to be part of the program. And, again, we said we'd have some trivia questions out there for you, and we are not liars, so we will throw that out there for you. The Miami Heat is the first team to make 4 straight conference finals since what other team? The Miami Heat is the first team to make 4 straight conference finals since which other team? Give us a call, 1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221 to be part of the program. We'll shift over and talk about Javon Robinson making his recommitment to the Auburn Tigers. What a big pickup that is for Gus Malzahn's class coming in. And, again, he will be one more year at Georgia Military. And let's kind of go back and revisit this for everybody, and so everybody understands that he will be part of the 2015 class, 5-star running back that Scout.com has listed as the #1 running back in the country. And this is a strong running back class that Auburn's coming up with. Running back U is definitely back in full effect, and we won't see him till the following year. But Auburn already with a stable of running backs in there, and now to add him, we've had this discussion before, and Luke has talked about it on the Alabama side, and we've kind of hammered him about, well, how many linebackers does Alabama have to stack up in there? Why do they keep going there? Well, obviously, those linebackers keep going to Alabama because of the history and the competition, and they know that even if you don't get to start, there's a good chance you can get drafted by being part of that core up there. Well, the same goes with this offense. And, the way Gus Malzahn's got this going, if you're a high-profile, skill position guy, running back, slot receiver, X receiver, Z, whatever, out on the ends, those are the guys that want to be in this offense because they're going to touch the football and they're going to have a chance to make plays in space. And Javon Robinson signed with Auburn back in 2012 out of Memphis, Tennessee, was ruled academically ineligible. Basically during preseason practice, he was the #1. He was one of the top running backs in the country coming out of high school, but all of the stuff that went on with the grade changing and all up in Memphis, NCAA comes in and rules him ineligible. He actually practiced for 3 or 4 practices that year, and then had to take a step back. And he talks about that being tough to overcome, and he's come full circle now and has chosen to recommit to Auburn. Scott, a lot of times when things like that happen, you just want to say, look, we just need to part ways. The school probably says we need to part ways, and the player says we need to part ways, and, we wish each other nothing but the best. But in this case, he felt like it was right to come back to Auburn, that everything's straightened up now, and he wanted to let everybody know that, he didn't have anything to do with him, and he was, it was unfortunate the way things went down. But, the past is in the past. He makes mention this in this article on here. He says, I can't worry about something that happened 20 minutes ago or 20 months ago. I got to worry about the next 20 minutes, and this is what's right for me. It was right when I came out of high school. I love Auburn. I want to be there. And, Alabama made a big push for him, and it looked like there for a while he might go over to Alabama, which, he would have been a great fit over there as well. But ends up choosing Auburn. Of course, he hasn't signed anything yet, but I feel confident that this is a pretty firm commitment.
Yeah, and again, you talk about us starting to get these skilled players again back in this system, and it's because this system does allow you to highlight your skills or showcase your skills. But in the NFL, people are wanting to get the back that can do everything, so they don't have to draft 2 running backs. So that you're looking at a Darren Sproles or those types of players. And so if you have somebody who can be integral in the passing game and able to run at 6 foot 225, I mean, he's going to be a monster at Auburn. And so, like you said, we do have a stable of running backs. Auburn does have a stable of running backs, but you look to continue to bring them in because you're looking at a Duke Williams who may not be there but a year. So there's going to be some transition because we're going to get high-profile players, and so with only the eligibility of years of eligibility he has left, he's going to want to come in and make an impact immediately.
And you look at what Auburn already has in picking up 4-star running back Kerryon Johnson from Madison Academy, who will be finishing up his senior year this year. And, Gus Malzahn really going out and these running backs, I think with what Trey Mason did last year and what Cameron Artis-Payne and Corey Grant were able to do in utility roles, I mean, if you're a top running back and Auburn's putting together a great offensive line, again, why would you not want to come carry the football? I mean, Nick Marshall run that spread and the read option. You're going to get it a ton of times. And even, like you said, a Duke Williams and some of these high-profile receivers, they won't, they may not get as many touches, but they're going to have chances to make big plays when they do. Sammy Coates' numbers were astounding, and he didn't touch it all that much if you want to go back and look at the number of plays Auburn ran last year as a whole on offense. So, a big pickup, Rock Thomas coming in, Cameron Petway, of course, Peyton Barber already on the roster. Cameron Artis-Payne, Corey Grant will be gone after this year, but then you'll add Kerryon Johnson and now Javon Robinson. Could this shape up to be, and I know this is early, it's preliminary, nobody has touched the football in Rock Thomas or Cameron Petway or Peyton Barber. He touched it one carry and got hurt in the A-Day game, unfortunately. Thank goodness it wasn't very serious for him. But, you had those two guys in there. You're looking at 5 guys standing over there, 5 really, really good running backs here in this class, or not in this class, but that'll be on this team together. What do you do? I mean, and that's another thing of trying to manage and keep people happy. And you look at Jeremy Johnson right now over there having to play behind Nick Marshall. I can promise you Jeremy Johnson was already expecting to be the quarterback of this team, and it just hadn't worked out that way. So you can't – you really need to set yourself up for a situation of where when you come into a team the way Auburn is now and the way Alabama has been for so many years now, is that you're going to have great players. You're not going to be the man all the time, and you may have to wait your turn.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what I've been saying, talking to it with some of my friends. We talked about how important it was going to be for us to get touches to Duke, and that which it will be, but I think what you brought up about Sam is a great point. In this offense, you may not necessarily get a lot of touches, but the touches that you get are usually in a position to allow you to, highlight your skills, and so that's all you want to see. But a recruit like Duke, I think he's probably one of the most important recruits Auburn has had in a while, because Auburn has not had a legitimate receiver of this caliber ever, not of this high profile. And so if he has success and does well in this system and is able to go to the next level and get drafted, and so then we can maybe start getting those types of players into the system now that we wouldn't have gotten on earlier.
It's no different than these running backs watching what Trey Mason did last year going, I want to go there. I don't care how many running backs are over there. If Auburn can get Duke Williams the ball enough, and he has a season like I think all of us know he can, then all these other high-profile receivers say, look, that's a fit for me at Auburn as well. Give us a call, 1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR is coming your way right after this.
Clear.
state of Mississippi. Papa was a copper and the mama was a hippie. In Alabama, she was swinging a hammer. Price you gotta pay when you flick the panorama. She never knew that
Welcome back,
there
everyone, to
was
the Sports Split
anything
Saturday Sports Countdown, presented by JR's Sports Split, JR's Sports Bar and Grill, JR's Sports Split. Hey, why not? We're all merged together anyway, Scott. So we've been that way for 7 years now. We're glad of it. So come on out to JR Sports Bar and Grill down here in downtown Alexander City and get you some great food. I know you and I will be doing that a little bit later on. So it's got some great trivia questions out there for all of you, and we'd love to hear from you and give us a call. And the first one out there is the Miami Heat is the first team to make 4 straight conference finals since what team? Give us a call. 1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221. Did you know the Preakness was today? Scott, considering that I was talking about Triple Crown winners, and you said, yeah, Miguel Cabrera won the Triple Crown. I said, yeah, we were talking about horses, not baseball players. But anyway, I mean, they're still synonymous. So you got Triple Crown winners in horse racing and baseball. So this one will revolve around horse racing because the Preakness is today the second leg of the Triple Crown. And, again, this race is very exciting only because people try to sit back and see if the horse that won the Kentucky Derby, which was California Chrome, could win and become have a shot at another Triple Crown when they make it to Belmont. If he doesn't win, then, it kind of – the horse racing fans still watch the race, but the general sports fans tend to fall off. So the Preakness is today. How many horses have won the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown since the last Triple Crown winner back in 1978? That was the last Triple Crown winner back in 1978. Now, there have been, let me clear this up because we almost made it confusing for ourselves. There have been multiple horses that have won 2 of the 3 races, but how many have won the Preakness and the Kentucky Derby having a shot at the Triple Crown, a legit Triple Crown? Because if you win the Kentucky Derby, lose the Preakness, and win the Belmont, you won 2 or 3, but you never had a shot at the Triple Crown. So how many have won the first 2 legs, the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, and heading into the Belmont since the last Triple Crown winner in 1978? How many near misses have there been? So give us a call, 1-800-782-0108. 256-234-6221. Are you a sports fan that just likes to watch the premier sporting events and all the different sports? Do you watch Wimbledon in tennis and in July? Do you watch the horse races, these 3, if there's a shot at a Triple Crown? Are you that kind of sports fan?
Yeah, it draws my attention. Anything popular like that, especially if it's a national thing too.
Sure.
So if you bring up something like the World Cup or if you have the Olympics, but mainly those things like this, you have the Masters, U.S. Open, just the big-time events in the individual sports is what I like to watch.
Yeah, and again, the Preakness is today. How many horses have won the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown since the last Triple Crown winner? And we're getting some responses on Facebook and Twitter out there. At Worthy177 says, and this is referring back to the stable of running backs for Auburn coming in, they seem to have great potential, and then we have at All Nap says the 2015 stable of Auburn running backs could be the best. Yes, the best ever. So WDE there. So it will be an interesting run here for Auburn. And look, the only way you can stay at the top of your game is to bring in the top recruits. I mean, Nick Saban, said it best and has proven time after time in Alabama that, you're going to have a lot better shot if you got all the horses on your side and you got all the players on your side. You're not going to win every game, but you're going to be the team that's favored more than not, and you got to like your chances. So,
Well, you look at it, Nick Saban doing it defensively. We were talking about the linebackers. He's brought a bunch of them in, but he's such a great defensive mind. If anybody can figure out how to make it work, it would be Nick Saban. Offensively, I don't know anybody in the country right now who is doing who is doing as well offensively as what Gus Malzahn has been doing for the last 5-6 years. And so looking at it now, I think he could. That's the best thing about his offense and about his offensive genius is that he finds a way to get the ball in players' hands and make sure he exploits the talents of those and the weaknesses of the defense. So I think Gus Malzahn will find a way to make sure all of this works out the best way it can.
Scott, you look at over on Alabama's side and Jacob Coker coming in as a quarterback. I saw somewhere yesterday that he is already being touted as a top NFL prospect. I mean, but look, and he may be, and he very well may be. But we were in a discussion yesterday about Alabama. You're gonna learn a lot about them real quick about what they're able to do offensively. I think obviously they've got a ton of great players and a ton of great athletes, but you're going to find out real quick if they're going to be able to score points, and that's going to be the key for them. Can they manage to stay up with some of these other offenses? Now I know their defense is going to really be able to help them, and always has been the stable of what they've been able to do. But offensively, they've relied on A.J. McCarron, and A.J. McCarron has, people can ridicule him all they want to about being a whiner and doing certain things and being about me, but hey, look, he got the job done, and you really can't point a finger at him. Now you got a new guy coming in here, and it's just hard for me to believe that he went from a guy that was backing up somebody for 2 years now, not just Jameis Winston. He was there before Jameis Winston and couldn't get on the field, and now all of a sudden he's going to Alabama and he's a top NFL prospect. Now, again, not slighting him. He may very well be and turn out to be even better than what Alabama's had before at quarterback. But, let's let him get on the field first, and let's make determination that way. And then, of course, Auburn opened up with Arkansas. Randy and I were talking about this yesterday. How is this going to play out the first? They're still Arkansas. I mean, they haven't been as good as they have been in the past, but they're still an SEC team. But I think with all the off-field stuff between Brett Bielema and Gus Malzahn, if Auburn can put a lot of points on the board, they're going to do it.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing. They are going to try to run as many plays too, and as quickly as possible during that game. That may be the most amount of plays they have the entire season, just to prove a point. Gus does things certain times, and you can see he's kind of being funny about it. But like last year's game against Arkansas, where he has the guy fall down, and so he plays with him, and so I like that little rivalry right there. But it doesn't appear to be much of a rivalry as of right now. But Auburn again is shaping up. Alabama both. Defensively, they're going to be fine. Alabama offensively, Auburn's going to be fine. It's the counterparts that if they can maintain their balance, then both teams will be successful.
I think you're exactly right. 1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221. To be part of the program, again, earlier in the show, we talked about Auburn recognizing the additional championships now. Auburn total of 5 national championships on their record books, 1913, 1957, 1983, 1993, and 2010. We come back, we'll run down the verbiage change on auburntigers.com. Stay tuned. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR right after this.
So you're clear.
Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR's Sports Bar and Grill. Brett Pritchard and Scott Hardy with you for about another hour on this beautiful Saturday morning. Get out and about and enjoy this beautiful Saturday in whatever community that you're pulling us in on. 95.9 down in the Auburn-Opelika area, 97.5 here in the Lake Martin area, and, of course, on Charter Channel 2 and Channel 80 statewide. And, again, we appreciate everybody watching and listening each and every week. Again, kids eat off the kids' menu for $1.99 in their uniform, and their youth league uniform every time they come into JR Sports Bar and Grill, and that's year-long. So can't say enough about them and what they've meant to us as far as our programming, and hopefully they feel the same about us for helping them as well. But great partners here. And, Scott, I want to go back and read that verbiage we talked about with Auburn changing their verbiage on their website about the national championships, and back in going back into March of this year, it read like this: the Auburn Tigers began competing in intercollegiate football in 1892 and have amassed the 12th most wins in FBS history. Auburn officially recognizes 2 national championships, 2010 and 1957. And the Tigers have compiled 7 perfect seasons, 13 conference championships, and 38 bowl appearances. Now, that was back in March of this year. And 1 month later, on April the 24th, it changed to this: the Auburn Tigers began competing in intercollegiate football in 1892 and have amassed the 12th most wins in major college history. So it used to say FBS history, now it says major college history. Then here comes the change. The NCAA recognizes. It went from Auburn officially recognizes to the NCAA recognizes Auburn as national champions in the following years: 2010, 1993, 1983, 1957, and 1913. The Tigers have won 12 conference championships and 12 bowl titles, so it went from 13 conference championships down to 12, and 22 bowl titles and 38 appearances. So Auburn didn't go in and add anything. The verbiage changed to Auburn recognizes to the NCAA recognizes Auburn as having the following. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it should have been done a long time ago.
No, and there's a lot of things you can do with words. And so if there's a way that you can spice things up, and that's all they did. They just changed it. As you said, Auburn University didn't go back and claim anything.
Yeah. So,
again, it's just recognizing something that the NCAA had already done.
Give us a call. What do you think? Legit? I mean, obviously, if you go by the NCAA and that's your governing body and that's what they recognize, then that's what you have. So, that is what Auburn will go by now. It doesn't say Auburn claims. It says Auburn is recognized by the NCAA. So 1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221 to be part of the program. And we do have a phone call. So let's go back to the phones. Caller, go ahead. You're on the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown.
Guys, I just want your thoughts on Darby and his new Dodge Charger and the response from the former quarterback, West Virginia, White, about being offered a Corvette. I'll just hang up and listen to your thoughts. Thank you.
I appreciate the call, and that was next on the list, actually, where we're going down through here, and Nick Saban and responding to some reporters outside, the Crimson Caravan stop, and Pat White goes to Facebook, and we all know Pat White, the quarterback from Daphne High School, was a tremendous talent that moved on to play for West Virginia. Well, a picture of Derrick Henry in front of was it a Charger or a Challenger that he's Challenger? It's a Challenger. That's some Dodge. What is it with Dodges? They talked about that on the show yesterday. I mean, what is it with the Dodge? I mean, there must be some Dodge connection there.
Affiliate of the NCAA.
Yeah, but anyway, Derrick Henry, the running back, who's going to be a great player for Alabama from Florida, standing in front of a new challenger. So again, you not pointing a finger, but you all of a sudden come up with this this car, and you standing in front of a new car that you didn't have last year, and he's not working, and he's playing a sport. That's been the whole catch over the last 3 or 4 months about should players be paid, and that's where we're going with all this. But in the meantime, Pat White voluntarily comes out on Facebook and said, hey, look, I was recruited by Alabama. They offered me a Corvette. And so a reporter asked Nick Saban about it, and he's like, I wasn't even here during all that time. What do you want me to do? How do you want me to respond to that? And he says, is that all we got to talk about? And the guy said, that's where we're at. That's it. And he said, he proceeded to say, kiss my you-know-what, and it peed him off a little bit. But your thoughts on it, Scott? What is Pat White trying to stir something up, or was that just a jab?
Well, a little bit of both. I think part of it is everybody has this misperception. I'm not going to say misperception, but there's this thought process that there are things like this that go down. And so for somebody who didn't necessarily have that type of car the year before or had the funding to do so the year before, how were they able to do so? And then he's in the Alabama football gear. It just, the whole thing kind of was funny. But again, to me, it doesn't really matter. But going in particular to Pat White was a 3-star who Alabama wanted to play at defensive back. So that's the one thing about that.
How did that? Yeah,
I mean, now for that perspective, now I will say that in Alabama's defense, because I know there's a lot of things that people probably could say regarding Auburn as well. But again, there's something just didn't.
But here's the point.
Settle well.
Regardless of what Pat White said in the Corvette, Nick Saban is there now.
Yeah,
and this is another player in front of a new Dodge. So, look, not to say that it's not going on. Well, we've had this discussion over and over and over and over about different teams and different programs, and everybody's involved in it. And, it's happening, and we all know that. We're not naive enough to think it's not going on at our respective schools that we pull for. But here's the problem that if I were a coach, I would have with my players. Can you stay off Instagram and Facebook, please? Can you quit snapping pictures and parading it around? If we're going to do something for you, or somebody outside the program is going to do something for you, I know you're proud of it, but quit putting stuff all over the place and drawing attention to it. I think that's what I would have to say. But then you get put in a situation, if you address it, then that tells you know about it. So you're really in a catch-22. You really can't say anything about it.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. There's so many things that can be said about it. And, again, from a coach's standpoint, I agree with you. Just be more careful with it. Social media is a great tool when used correctly, but sometimes we forget.
It has destroyed so many people in the last 2 or 3 years. It is amazing. The wake of damage is tremendous. I'll just say this: 1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221. More of the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR's right after this.
You're making a fool out of yourself on the dance floor. So anyways, there you go. I think it's 2:20.
Got a good reason for taking the easy way out. Got a good reason for taking the easy way out now. She was a
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown, presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Brett Pritchard and Scott Hardy with you for a little less than an hour now. Come on out to JR Sports Bar and Grill and join us. We'd love to see you come in and ask us a question, make a comment. You can call us. You can tweet us out there, and you can be part of the program all types of different ways. I'm getting a lot of responses and through Twitter and Facebook. So keep those coming. And, again, we've got trivia questions on the table for you out there, and I want to throw this one at you. The Miami Heat is the first team to make 4 straight conference finals since what team? And then we've got another one, the Preakness horse races today. How many horses have won the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown since the last Triple Crown winner back in 1978? Some good trivia questions out there. And, Justin, if you'll forward me over the Twitter responses, if somebody wants to answer by Twitter or Facebook, Justin, if you'll just shoot those over to me, you can win that way as well. So you don't necessarily have to call in. You can tweet us or put a post on Facebook, and you can reach us that way. Going back into to Auburn baseball, Scott, for a little bit, not the way the season not the way that Auburn people wanted the season to end. Our producer Justin Clayton and our partner Andy Graham went down on Thursday night, and it was eerily empty in the stadium. Of course, LSU wins 10-0, and it just Sonny Galloway in his first year. I know he's a highly touted coach coming in, and when you have a new coach come in and he's got a different philosophy, and these guys have been there for a while, you're trying to get them to buy in, and sometimes it works and things gel, and sometimes they don't. And the start of the conference season started real well. Looked like Auburn was really going to be a force, and then it changed pretty quickly, and it changed during that series with Missouri at home. Missouri is the worst team in the conference, and Auburn had them, and Auburn had a lot of momentum right there, and Missouri comes in and wins 2 out of 3, and that they really haven't recovered since then. And it was a tough series to lose, but Auburn couldn't ever seem to get back on track. Now they have won a series here and there, but it just hasn't been the year that they would hope for, and they're very close to not making the SEC tournament, and by all stretches maybe out of it already. But they're 28-27 on the season. If they lose today, obviously they'll end at 500 on the year. But your thoughts on Sonny Galloway's first year and where this program heads?
Well, I'm all for if somebody comes in, you buy into whatever their regime is, whatever their structure is, you need to buy into that if you're going to play under that coach. And so when he decided to make the changes that he did with personnel and removing some people from the team, I was backing him on that. He caught a lot of flack kind of for how it went down, but I was, you got to support the coach. And so looking at the situation now, it was a little tough, and I don't think the players fault. If you watch the last maybe 15 games or so, the players really fault. You had players like Ryan Taylor, who hadn't pitched since high school, comes in, and he's playing his part in, and he pitched really well on Wednesday. I think it was against UAB. They had him in, or Tuesday, and he comes in and strikes out the side, and they end up going extra innings. It was just they. And
then Sonny Galloway comes out and says he should have been pitching the whole time. Well, and is that his decision?
See, that's what I'm saying. Certain things it just didn't really make sense, because that was a very talented team. They had lots of talent on the team, and so they have some guys who it wasn't like the cupboard was bare. But again, it was year one. Just I guess if you're an Auburn fan, you look at it in a situation and say, all right, this was a transition year, you're rebuilding, and so he'll have an opportunity to get some of his players in there. You do have some players, though, who are legitimate stars on that team for the future. So, again, he does have an experienced resume as a winner, so let's see how it plays out. But year one was very, very shaky, to say the least.
Couple answers to tries for the trivia questions, and I'm assuming this is S1 Owen says 0 horses, and then E Gowan 17 says 13 horses, and then we got one from IH Coop or LH Coop that says I think 9 horses, and none of those answers are correct. So give us a call or tweet us again with another response. We had 0, 13, and 9, and neither one of those were correct. And the question is, again, the Preakness race is today. How many horses have won the first 2 legs? That would be the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness. Since the last Triple Crown winner back in 1978, give us a call. California Chrome could do that again and be another horse that could be added to that list if he can pull off a victory at the Preakness today. And we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to get your response to that. Also, that trivia question. I'm shocked. We've had one tweet from someone out there, or actually a text coming in that said the Chicago Bulls, and that was your guess on the Miami Heat question, and that is not the right answer. So I'll repeat that one as well. The Miami Heat is the first team to make 4 straight conference finals since what other team? The first team since which other team made 4 straight conference?
And they are overlooked too. I forget that.
They are overlooked.
Yeah.
They are overlooked. I would. Do you want me to give a hint out there?
I mean, it seems like they're struggling a bit with.
Is there a 30 for 30 out about this team right now?
There is.
Okay,
indeed.
all right. I'm going to give that out. There's a 30 for 30 out about this team, and they are. I mean, they really are. But they did some good things right in that era. So give us a call, 1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221. And as far as Auburn baseball is concerned, I know as far as the teams out there that Auburn has to deal with, obviously Tennessee, Kentucky, and Georgia are games that are teams that Auburn's watching very closely. But it's like Andy and I talked about several days ago on Sports Call. If Auburn gets swept, they're just out of it. I mean, they have to come up with a way to find one win, and they're unfortunately playing the number 8 team in the country right now in the LSU Tigers, and it hadn't even been close the first 2 games. Is this a situation, Scott, where it looks like maybe everybody involved is ready for the season to be over? I mean, I hate to say that, and that may not be the case. I mean, they may be fighting, but if you make it into the SEC tournament, I mean, what are you really expecting to do?
Yeah, and it's kind of like some of those teams during football season where if they win that game, there's 6 games, but they really don't want to go to another game. The season is kind of dwindled down, and you look back at Auburn in football in 2012 and how pitiful that was toward the end. Just you could tell that people had kind of just had enough of it, and they were ready to transition on into the offseason.
And people need to understand that this is Sonny Galloway's first year, and that was a great reference that you just made. 2012 Auburn football season to Auburn's 2013 football season was night and day, and the baseball program can be the same as well if you get in there and players get bought in and Sonny Galloway gets things going the way he wants to go. And people want to point fingers at Sonny Galloway and say, well, he's not the nicest guy, and he throws people under the bus. Well, Auburn hired him, and they paying him a lot of money, and he's going to be there.
You said the key thing.
He's going to be there. So whatever the case is, they're going to have to adapt to his way of thinking, the way he wants to run this program. Up against the break, give us a call, 1-800-782-0108 or 256-234-6221. More of the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR's right after this. Countdown, presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Brett Pritchard and Scott Hardy here with you, and we'd love to hear from you. 1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221 to be part of the program, and give us a call. And we got trivia questions on the table out there, and we have got some Twitter responses coming in, some Facebook responses, and you can find us there as well, and you can give us a response that way. You don't have to call in, because we know there's a ton of you out there that listen, and necessarily may not want. Had somebody call in just a minute ago that gave a response about Nick Saban, said they didn't want to be on the air, but they said, don't you think that Nick Saban know about a car coming in? Well, I'm sure he does. Well, he made mention of that in that press conference, that or not press conference, but when he was called outside by the press. And yes, we had the author of Meet the Bagman article on with us a few months ago, and I asked him specifically, do these head coaches know about what goes on? He said, absolutely. But they stay far enough away so they can say, well, I didn't have anything to do with it. So yes, he is very well aware, and so is every other coach, about what goes on, whether you want to believe it or not. So
he's such a micromanager. There's no way he doesn't know that that's not happening. But whether
that's my point.
Yeah. No, so, but again, as you're mentioning, people listening and maybe not calling in, Swope Graveman gave his take on the trivia answer for the Miami Heat question, and he said the Celtics. That was incorrect. But, again, another one of those good teams. But, yeah, again, just check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, or any of the other places where you can check
Sports
us out.
Blitz, and that's Sports with a Z. Give us a shout-out there. And it is LH Coop, again, saying at Sports Blitz, no 11, trying to multitask and can't count. So, but 11 still isn't right. So give us another shout-out there by Twitter. Or send us a comment on Facebook, and our producer Justin Clayton will get that over to us. I want to move on and talk about something that's grabbing the headlines since the draft, and that's Michael Sam and the Oprah Winfrey Network, OWN, trying to put together a documentary called The Untitled Michael Sam Project. Rookie camp started this week. It has been postponed, and after careful consideration discussion with the St. Louis Rams, the Untitled Michael Sam Project has been postponed, allowing Michael the best opportunity to achieve his dreams of making the team. OWN President Eric Logan said in a statement, OWN is about elevating and empowering people to achieve their best. It's clear that we, along with the world, recognize the opportunity that Michael has in this moment. We will continue to support him in his journey to earn a spot playing for the Rams. It says, statement also included a comment from Sam's agent, Cameron Weiss, who met with the Rams today. Said, after today's meeting with the Rams, we felt it best to postpone the project. This will allow Michael to have full focus on football and ensure no distractions to teammates. And I think that's really what St. Louis Rams want, and they gave him an opportunity to do this. But on the flip side, Scott, I think this is exactly why some teams stayed away from Michael Sam, because of the media circus. They knew it would be, and it has been. And Jeff Fisher has already come over and said, look, Michael, the best thing for you to do is concentrate on fundamentals of football and making this team and doing what you got to do to be a best player, and let's get these cameras out of here that's distracting all of us from doing what we need to do.
Yeah, and so this is the thing. Now, there were a lot of people who said that his talent maybe was part of the reason why he failed, but to be clear, he was SEC Defensive Player of the Year. So if you look at it,
but the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year didn't even get drafted.
True, so. But if you're looking at it from the best conference, just historically speaking.
That, yeah.
But having said that, it goes back to your point. There probably were some teams where he could have had a fit in there, but they didn't want to have to deal with what was going to happen after this, and so he didn't really talk about he didn't let the Rams know about the documentary when they were in the recruiting process, because this has already been going on from a publicist standpoint. Whoever his publicist is has done an excellent job for Michael Sam, because there's no way that a seventh-round draft thing, I think that's the main thing that people have a problem with, regardless if you want whatever his decision is that he's doing, that type of lifestyle, if you want to just be accepted as a football player, like you said, then you wouldn't want that unnecessary attention, because there's no other seventh-round draft pick who has had this much media coverage. I don't know anybody that has. And so you're looking at it from that point. But, again, Bomani Jones made a good point that I don't know too many players who, if they had an opportunity to have someone following them around, wouldn't want to capitalize on that. So from a business standpoint, it makes sense to do it, but from a standpoint of trying to be a professional and be the craft that you want to do, then you need to be making sure you make the football team.
I was wondering when the first Bomani Jones reference was going to come in from you, because you may be his biggest fan. So I go back to that one clip on ESPN when somebody said something to him and it froze him and his eyes were big as saucers. That's what I remember Bomani Jones more than anything. I can't remember exactly what it was, but anyway, he does have some good points. But going back to the situation with Michael Sam or the St. Louis, and look, he's a talented player, no doubt, but he was drafted toward the very end, and a lot of people felt like his skill set maybe not there. Do the St. Louis Rams have a choice but to keep him now at this point? I mean, if they cut him, does that draw more negative press?
Absolutely. He's the number 2 player in jersey sales behind Johnny Manziel, so there's already invested interest in him.
They're not cutting him.
Yeah, so now it's just whether or not they're going to be for. And I know this is the NFL, and NFL is so much different than they're their own entity compared to a lot of other organizations, in particular in sports. But they may be forced. Their hand may be forced on his playing time. There's just going to be a lot of things that have to happen, because everything that happens now is if he didn't play, is it because of this, or like that'll be every time something happens, it'll go back to him being that the first person to do what he's doing. So again, there's so much around this story that's crazy to me. But again, the Rams did make a decision to draft him, so out of respect of them being the team that chose you, I would want to do whatever I could to make sure that it was an easy transition for them as well.
1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221 to be part of the program. More to come on the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Talladega is holding. Mike's going hot. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Brett Pritchard and Scott Hardy here with you for about 25 more minutes or so. Give us a call, 1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221, and let's go to the phone lines. Terry in Talladega, what's going on, man?
Hey, guys.
What's going on, Terry? How are
How
you?
y'all today?
Good, Terry. How are you?
I'm doing well, Scott and Brett. Y'all were talking about Michael Samms. Not only, I think there may be some validity in what you're saying as far as him making the team up, but they are very much loaded on that defense because of the pass rush. I mean, they're awesome on defense. And didn't they draft Michael Samms' teammate Tony Ely in the second round?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, so I mean, there's no guarantee he's going to make team. I feel like he probably will just because of what Scott said, the media circus that goes around it. But you just never know. You just never know. 7th round draft pick, he may be a special, but even if he doesn't, play a lot, they're going to catch flack for that. Why aren't they playing him? They're playing him because of his personal life. You can expect that kind of stuff coming. You know the society we live in.
Well, I just think that that's why some teams decided to just not go that route, and the NFL doesn't like, as a whole, a lot of attention around things outside of the game. And but on the flip side, that the Rams have given him an opportunity, and you're right. Things usually boil down to money, and with his jersey sales being number 2 right now, I don't see how they can afford to get rid of him.
Yeah, great point there. That's surprising. His jersey sales being number 2. I mean, Manziel, no surprise at 1, but his at number 2 is a little surprising, to be honest with you. Brett, I want your opinion on something. Javon Robinson recommitted to Auburn, I guess, this week.
Yes.
Auburn looks absolutely loaded at running back for the next 3 or 4 years. Are they going to start playing with 2 footballs?
Well, we talked about this earlier in the show, and I remember when Carnell and Ronnie and Brandon Jacobs were all on the same team. Brandon Jacobs ended up leaving, but you saw what kind of career and what kind of player he was in the NFL, and I just think that Gus Malzahn is a master at being able to interchange these guys and put them on the field. It's just the same way that I asked Luke Robinson a couple of years ago about linebackers at Alabama. I said, why in the world do you want to keep going up there? And when you got 5, 6, 7 linebackers in front of you, well, it's because that players want to play in the best opportunity, and they know that if they go and work their tail off, they'll have a chance. Well, I think that's what these running backs are seeing now after watching Trey Mason do what he did last year, that, they got a Cameron Petway over there, a Rock Thomas, and, you got Corey Grant, and you got Peyton Barber, and then you got Cameron Artis-Payne, but Cameron Artis-Payne and Corey Grant will be gone. So you'll have those 3 guys coming back, but now you got Kerryon Johnson, Javon Robinson. I think it's unbelievable the stable of running backs Auburn has, but these guys are willing to come in there and compete because they know this is the kind of offense they want to be in because it's going to give them their best opportunity to move to the next level.
Right. And something kind of went unnoticed this week. I saw it on the news, but the offensive lineman from Ole Miss has transferred back to Auburn.
Yes.
It's from Prattville.
Austin Golson, yes.
Right.
Going to be walking on, and he was a big-time player for Prattville and made that decision. A lot of people felt like he grew up an Auburn fan. A lot of people felt like he would end up at Auburn and then chose Ole Miss, but now coming back Auburn just seems to be, and I talked to Randy about this in a conversation yesterday, it just seems like everything right now is just positive for Auburn's program. And, it's been a while since everything that you hear is positive. And, recruiting's positive, the outlook's positive. I just think a lot of things are going in the right direction.
Absolutely. How do you think Auburn's offense changes with changeover from Nick Marshall next year to the kid out of Jeremy Johnson out of Montgomery? Do you think they become more of a passing offense, Brett?
Hey, I think the opportunities are there to go either direction. I think they can with this offense. I think Gus Malzahn looks at what he has currently and puts the ball in the guy's hands that he feels gives him the best chance to win. And when Jeremy Johnson comes and becomes the quarterback of this team, I think he's definitely a lot better passer, and I think he can turn this offense around on a dime and make it a mainly throwing offense. So, yes, I think he's that much of a mastermind offensively that he can change it to adapt and to accommodate whatever his talent level is.
Well, the big change I expect next year, a lot of people have disagreed with me, and I'm curious to see how you and Scott react. I think the big change will be on defense. I think I want to be a lot better on defense than people think.
Yeah.
That was a little bit more of a react defense, a little more of attack style. Ellis Johnson and Rodney Garner did a masterful job of rotating fresh legs in on the defensive line. The depth there is incredible. It's like you were saying, Brett, with linebackers, Alabama. You know you're going to play because they're going to play 10 defensive linemen in the game.
That's
so,
exactly
I expect the defense to be dramatic. The part of the team that worries me the most is the kicking, because we lost both kicker and the punter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm of the opinion I just don't see how we didn't put the ball in the end zone in that championship game. We've been doing it all year long. All of a sudden, he was barely getting to the end zone. That bothers me. It still sticks in my craw a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure that he wanted to kick it in there as much as anybody, and it was tough. If you do the little things right, it usually ends up helping you win. And if you don't get the little things right, things that you've done all year, it can come back to bite you. And it did Auburn in the national championship game, and it's a tough pill to swallow. And I think Auburn's going to have many more opportunities to play for these national championship games, especially with the playoff system the way it is. I think Auburn will be right there in the hunt.
Well, what do y'all think about the defense next year?
I think the defense is going to be improved. I think it's going to be, I don't know if it'll be a top 4 defense in the conference, but I think it could be a top 7 defense in the conference. And if Auburn continues to produce offensively the way they produced, I think that'll be good enough to get them where they need to go.
Well, what I like about Gus Malzahn's offense more than anything is I never feel, no matter if Auburn gets down by 10 points or more, I don't feel like we're ever out of the game.
Never.
And you know as well as I did, under somebody like Tuberville, you got down by 10 points, it was over.
Yeah, you're right. And, the thing about Tommy Tuberville is that, he would always win the big game, and he would always lay an egg in a game he wasn't supposed to. And you could tell from the onset, from the start of the game, whether Auburn was going to be in it or not. And when he laid an egg, he laid a big one and got blown out. So
yeah, I always remember the 3-2 game. That's something I'll never forget.
That one was amazing. Auburn scored all 5 points in that game. That's the crazy thing. We held in the end zone, and then we kicked the field goal. So really, we won 5-0 in that game. Take
care, guys. Y'all have a great day.
Terry, thank you so much. You have a comment,
Well,
Scott?
you're looking at we're talking about how many running backs we're going to have in there, or Auburn will have in there. But you're looking at a situation where that may help them really to get more running backs in there, because you're going to have fresher, they're going to have numbers, but you won't have the same maybe wear and tear that you'd have in an offense like Alabama's, where you're currently going to get 25, 30 carries. And so Trey Mason, while he did do that, you won't have to do that as much, so you can spread out your carries. And as Terry said, defensively, the defensive line depth that Auburn has, 12, 14 guys in the rotation, definitely will allow you to do some different things defensively to where that could enhance the amount of points that we gave up. If Auburn cuts down 7 points a game, that tremendously helps their case to continue to go on to be as successful as
if you can reduce points given up and stay at the level you are, how could you not be back in a position where you can be extremely successful this coming up year? So.
And as you said, this is the first time in a while that it feels like Auburn has a lot of things going in their way. And usually when Auburn, a little worried as an Auburn fan, when they're supposed to do well, when you're supposed to do well, some things usually go wrong. But with Gus Malzahn at the helm, I really think that things will continue to go the way they have been.
1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221. More to come on the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Well, jamming. I wanna jam it with you.
I'm holding.
Well, jamming.
Welcome back to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown, presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Brett Pritchard and Scott Hardy with you here at JR's, and about 15 more minutes left in today's show. We'd love to hear from you, and give us a call.
Sometimes you just gotta let Bob ride it out. Sometimes.
You know, let Bob Marley and the Whalers let the soul kind of get a little bit of a reprieve right there by listening to a little Bob Marley.
That's pretty good, right?
There you go. So 1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221 to be part of the program. And again, we want to hear from you, and we want you to be part of the program. We got some trivia questions out there, and our Daniel, our producer, really liked that little Bob Marley thing that I just said. He appreciates that. So give us a call, 1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221 to be part of the program, as we've been talking about a lot of stuff here this morning, and I've had some trivia question responses. Still hadn't gotten anything as far as a question answered on the Preakness, and the Preakness is today. Do you think that California, I lost the name of it. It's California Chrome. You think California Chrome will have a shot to at a Triple Crown? Got to get the Preakness under their belt.
Well, seeing on, as we said, I didn't really realize that it was today. I guess that would be my pick for it, because I'm not real sure about the rest of the field. But again, it is amazing to me that out of nowhere each year you just see another horse that I don't know if you could win it. If you're this good the year before, why can you just continue to keep going?
Yeah.
Again, I don't really know, but maybe good luck with him and his jockey trying to
give luck to the horse there.
Yeah, good luck to the horse there. California Chrome as going in competing for a Triple Crown.
1-800-782-0108. We got the trivia question out there regarding the Preakness, and the Preakness today. How many horses have won the first two legs of the Triple Crown since the last Triple Crown winner in 1978? Give us a call. And again, had several guesses, and haven't had one right yet. Been real close to the right answer, but hadn't had the right answer yet. So give us a call. And NBA playoffs, Scott. We'll conclude the show with NBA playoffs and talk about the two conference championship series with the Miami Heat and Indiana Pacers, and then the San Antonio Spurs and Oklahoma City Thunder. Isn't this how they thought it would end up?
Yeah, and again, these, for the most part, were the top four teams in the league throughout the season. And again, you have Oklahoma City and San Antonio matching up against each other again. Indiana and Miami are facing off against each other again.
Yeah.
It looks like just the way things are going, Miami is almost a lock to win the East. Indiana plays and matches up well against them, but Roy Hibbert is going to have to be a lot better than what he has been playing. Paul George's game has to step up, but I think this is when LeBron's skill set and his attitude and competition level comes out the best, because he knows that this is the next to the last level until a championship. But on the other side, Oklahoma City versus San Antonio is the one that's kind of up in the air to me. I think the Spurs are the best team of the two, maybe not the most talented, but they're the best coached team. Tim Duncan, Ginobili, Parker have been there before. Now you have a situation where Ibaka, it may not play the rest of the playoffs, so he's out, then that changes everything. But again, I know you think that maybe San Antonio and Miami are the two teams that everybody kind of feel or will go ahead and face each other.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if LeBron James can win another one, and if he does, he inches ever so closer to the prestige of what Michael Jordan's been able to do. And I'm a big Michael Jordan fan, you know that. LeBron James is the generation now, and he's the player the NBA has hung its hat on now that Kobe, your man, has kind of faded off. And I kind of told you about the Achilles injury. It's hard to rebound. The Lakers, who would have ever thought the Clippers would be in the situation they're in, and the Lakers would be down in the dumps the way they are.
That hurts me that you say Kobe's on the end of it.
I hate to be honest with you about it, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah, but again, that you look at a situation where we talked about it a couple of weeks ago with Tiger Woods not being in golf and how that changes things. But basketball has a way, and a lot of other sports, you have a transitional
Yeah.
player. You had
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, and then it went to Kobe, and now LeBron has kind of taken that. And you have some other elite players in the league, like a Kevin Durant or Carmelo. But I would love to see the MVP face off against LeBron, and I think KD deserves it. But the thing that kind of I look to at Oklahoma City that they're struggling at is the coaching position. They don't really have a system of play. They kind of just rely on a give and take situation with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, which causes them some of the stress levels that they have. But ownership and management have made their decisions to stick with them. So looking at it where you're looking at Scott Brooks and Greg Popovich, and between those two, I'd lay my hat with Greg Popovich any day. And so, again, LeBron James, best player. So it looks like it should be Spurs Heat, but I think that the Thunder have an opportunity to do something here where they take out the Spurs in 6, and I think the Heat win theirs in 5. I don't think that series goes anywhere, so I think it's Thunder versus Heat in the NBA Finals.
That's an interesting take there, and for our NBA aficionado, Scott Hardy there with his prediction on how the NBA is going to end up as far as in the championship series. That what does that do? Where does LeBron rank if he's able to get to the championship series and win it?
I think he's already right now top 10 player of all time. So if he wins that, it probably puts him in the top 5 discussion for sure. He'd have 4 MVPs, 3 NBA Finals, and 5 opportunities. So again, this just would be something, and to do it in a three-peat fashion, that has a lot to do with it as well. You look at what Michael did with the Bulls 2 separate times. Kobe did it with 3 in a row with Shaq and Phil with the Lakers. So that, I think, adds to it. And so it plays a lot, too. If they are able to win this, then maybe they have a better opportunity for him to stay. If they lose, maybe he wants to just get out and try something fresh, because D. Wade's on the latter part of his career, and Chris Bosh is looking, I think, for an opportunity to become the superstar that he was in Toronto. So it'll be interesting to see, but I think this is more important for Kevin Durant than it is for LeBron. But a lot of people say that if he doesn't win this one, it would be 5 opportunities with only 2.
What about Russell Westbrook's attitude and the way when things are going bad, he just seems to be he seems to kind of go to the end of the bench like we've seen him do already and just kind of pout a little bit. So, well, what's your take on that? Can Kevin Durant? I mean, he's got to have Russell Westbrook be a contributor and be a player that can do his role. And if he's over there pouting and not being a team player, it's going to make it even more difficult to beat a good team like the Spurs.
Yeah, and especially when you have a player like Durant, who you've seen a little more of the last couple of years, and in particular this season, where he's tried to take more of an ownership role over the team, cause an opportunity to have Westbrook kind of follow him. But without Westbrook, I don't think Durant can win this championship because they're so integral to each other's success.
Yeah. 1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221 to be part of the program. Again, last break of the show. We'll come back, and we'll end it up here at JR Sports Bar and Grill. Stay tuned. More of the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR.
Wrong. Tight. 5 seconds.
You want to put them on and listen?
3, 2, 1, going high.
Welcome back to morning the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown, presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Brett Pritchard, Scott Hardy with you here for about 8 more minutes. Let's go straight to the phone lines. John, over in Jackson's Gap, you're on the Saturday Sports Countdown.
Hey, how you doing?
John, what's going on?
I just got a comment about something you said a little earlier about the athlete with the new car.
Yeah.
As a parent, if one of my children made me that proud as an athlete in a college program or or high school for that matter, I would go out of my way to make sure that they had something like a new car. I would try my best to reward them. We can't necessarily assume that it's something illegal or something against the rules. That was just my comment.
We appreciate it, John, and that's kind of what we were saying. I mean, it's based on what a situation is before and after, and what happens in a year. I mean, that is what the general public and that's what fans of other schools are going to naturally assume. That's just the way it is in social media now, and it's just like some of these recruits holding up big wads of cash. I mean, you can't prove where it came from. You don't know where it came from, but people are going to naturally make assumptions, and that's just the world we live in. And again, it could be extremely legit. And if he could come out and say, thanks to my parents for the surprise, thanks to my aunt and uncle, thanks to so and so. But when something just appears out of the blue, then it makes people speculate, and that's been going on for years, and it goes on at every school, and it just Alabama, it's everywhere else, Scott. So John makes a good point. I mean, I recognize that. I mean, it's a it just raises eyebrows when it comes up, and when we had that author of. And the reason we do all this and speculate all this stuff, and it's the same way that everybody speculated that Cam Newton took $180,000. Did anybody ever find $180,000? No. I mean, the author of the Bagman article came on and he explained all this stuff. He talked to supposedly 3 different bagmen from different universities, and he talked about how it went down. So that's just kind of where we are.
Well, the thing is, and that's exactly where we are, because there wouldn't be speculation if things hadn't have happened previously. There's a reasoning behind people thinking certain things happen. And so when a player who didn't play at all until the bowl game then did really well in the bowl game, and it appears that he may be pretty integral in the success level of what's going to happen later, and he gets a new car. I mean, there aren't going to be questions, even if it's – and the part of it is, too, it's the off season, too. It is funny to talk about it, and it gives you something to talk about as you lead into the summer. It's just mainly Auburn, Alabama people talking. I mean, because there are people around the SEC that probably feel the same way, but it's just a little rivalry there between Auburn and Alabama, because had it been the reverse roles, I can assure you that the Alabama faithful would be saying the exact same things and making the same types of jokes and comments as well.
1-800-782-0108, 256-234-6221 to be part of the program. And kind of revisiting what we've talked about today, Michael Sam documentary by the Oprah Winfrey Network is postponed. Auburn baseball on the brink of not making any type of postseason with 2 embarrassing losses to LSU. Nick Saban's response to this very incident with Pat White's comment on Facebook about him being offered a Corvette to come play at Alabama when he was being recruited. Javon Robinson back in orange and blue after December, this coming December, as he recommits to Auburn. Scout.com has him the number 1 running back in the country. So exciting about that. And then the retro national championships, Auburn now recognizes that the NCAA has been recognizing for years. They changed their verbiage. Now Auburn University has 5 national championships in football, according to the NCAA. Not according to Auburn, but according to the NCAA. So that's just the way it is. And you may question some of that. You may think it's right or may think it's wrong or whatever the situation. But regardless, NCAA gives Auburn credit for 5, and that's how it goes down. And Of course, NBA playoffs, the Eastern Conference Finals, the Miami Heat, Indiana Pacers. On the Western Conference side, it's Oklahoma City and the San Antonio Spurs, kind of how a lot of people felt like it would end up both ways. And Scott, been a fun time up here as always at JR Sports Bar and Grill.
Absolutely. I enjoyed myself Saturday, and we'll hopefully get another chance to do it again.
Oh, we definitely will. For our producer, Justin Clayton, and Daniel Best back there in the studio, Scott Hardy and Brett Pritchard here saying we've enjoyed it. We hope you have. See you next time.